to end it too, you know? You were so fun to have, and oh, Dr. Ron is just impressive. Yeah. I'm just so glad for what he's doing for
I cannot
people.
say enough about the people at the clinic. Even when you mess up, you go in there, nobody's going to chew you out. They will, you know, sit down and go, now don't worry about this. This will happen.
Get back on track.
And you have that graph, and then you can see exactly where you're at.
Right.
And a lot of times when I've gained weight back, they said, don't worry about it because you gained muscle mass and you lost fat.
Oh, well, yeah, it's because they're tracking that.
Because they're tracking
not just throwing you on the scales.
They're not throwing you on the scales. You stand on a little machine.
And that's encouraging.
And it measures your skeletal structure, your lean muscle mass, your fat content, and your hydration.
And your hydration, because the doctor said that was so important.
Very important to be hydrated.
What do you think of the vitamin supplementation? And I know I was watching on their website, which is very informative, that about the IV vitamin infusions. Have you tried those?
Oh yes.
Do you think those
I go up there.
work?
That's how I, when I went to the clinic originally, you could count on every January, February, March that I was going to have problems with congestion and losing my voice, and at that time I was doing cowboy poetry, and there a lot of the things were during that time, and I'd have a performance coming up, and I wouldn't have a voice, and I'd be coughing and hacking. I'd go up there and they'd do the IV, and I'd be feeling better before I even got the needle out of my arm. And this vitamin C IV just does wonderful things. They use it for cancer patients. They use it for lupus patients. It's great on allergies and a whole number of things. And
now, I know it's optional to the program. It's an additional cost, not as much as I thought, because like $82, I think.
Yeah.
So you thought, because Dr. Ron mentioned the packet of vitamins, because when you're on a severely restricted diet, you do need to take a vitamin mineral supplement.
You have to keep that balance.
So you found those to be
but you don't have to
even
have
better
a bunch
than
of,
the pills?
Yeah, you don't have to have a bunch of bottles and figure out your dosage every day. Everything is in a little packet. Take it in the morning.
Well, it sounded like they do it like that.
Yeah.
Well, what medications have you been able to get off of? Have you at this point?
I have cut off of blood thinning medications. I was on a couple of different ones. Basically, what I'm on right now is a water pill, and I have a injectable still for my diabetes because I still have the blood sugar problem. You're not going to clear everything up, but
so what's your primary doctor have to say about this?
They're tickled to death.
They're happy about it.
But I can't get them to go investigate it.
Yeah,
I keep begging them to go investigate it. I said,
yeah,
we're sitting 2 hours away from Wichita, and Dr. Hunninghake said, send them up. We'll be glad to walk them through everything. And the only thing that catches their attention is, I says, if you work a program through them, I says, you can use it as an income stream, which in Medicine Lodge, income at the hospital is very important.
Right.
That gets their attention, but nobody takes the time to go.
They might, especially since they've taken all the homeopathic compounds off the market, and you can only get it through a licensed physician. But I think what'll be really great, from my perspective, and even Dr. Ron talked about, we need more research. You know, and I know that, not to say that it's not effective, because it seems working for people, but I would really like to see more research.
Their major mission is research.
I like that.
There is so much more up there.
Some of what I saw, he said there are studies that are pro, but not too many, and there's sure a lot more that say otherwise.
Dr. Riordan that created that clinic was a wonderful man. And when he started that clinic, he had the goal of curing cancer in 10 years. And I think
holistic,
they do it
type things.
They do it through holistic somewhat. They don't stress. They will use prescription drugs when it's called for, but lifestyle and they're concerned about the entire makeup of the patient psychologically and give you that support. And Dr. Riordan did 2 or 3 great books called Medical Mavericks, and he goes through the history of medicine, and everybody that has ever had a leap forward in technology and medicine has been totally shunned and even killed by the medical establishment at the time.
Wow.
It's great, great reading.
That would be
And
interesting.
he was such a fantastic man, and I think if he would have lived, they would have figured out how to cure cancer. And they do wonderful work with people with cancer there, because the vitamin C IV helps the body stand up to the radiation and the chemotherapy and the surgery by keeping that baseline of health.
And they're using holistic things in a sense, but they're also tracking it with medical science, like the blood studies, because you had to take your blood every so often, don't they? Do they do a blood test? Or
they do a blood test every so often.
When you start, and then I didn't know if it was, you know, at other times, it sounded like
when you start up there, they do a complete workup on you. They want to know everything that's going on. But the first thing that happened once I got to the point after a month or two, was able to cut back. I was on 12 prescriptions. Right now I'm on about 4.
See, that's what I was asking.
And
12 to 4.
Not only was it $100 a month.
That paid for the diet.
$100 a month, in addition to my income, and I'm on a fixed diet. I'm on disabled retirement.
Fixed income.
And
wow.
But my mind cleared up. My mind was just so, and my mind has been going 100 miles an hour ever since.
Yeah.
And
you're living life.
I have so many ideas, and we're working with Western music, and they just, sometimes I scare the hell out of them, because I come up with too many ideas. But the Home on the Range program for the Kansas Sesquicentennial I originated, and it took me 4 years of writing, rewriting, and finally of course the state was giving no support on sesquicentennial activities. And I could not pull it off by myself, and I just gave it completely to the state chapter of the Western Music Association. We have some brilliant business minds in that. And we created this program. We did it March 13th at the Fox Theater in Hutchinson, and with 60 Kansas musicians. They're either from Kansas, here in Kansas, have ties to Kansas. They included the Hutch Symphony and the McPherson Children's Chorus.
Can we access this through the internet somehow? You
go
need to send me a
YouTube.
link so we can put that up on my site.
And just put in Kansas Home on the Range, Kansas-Home on the Range, and it'll come up. There's a 7-minute highlight of the program in Hutchinson. The publisher at that time, Skip Headley from the Wichita Eagle, and his wife were at that performance.
Wow.
And Becky Tanner gave us a big push on the build-up for that. And he came down after the performance, and he says, we have to bring this to Wichita. And he says, we're getting ready to put together an official 150th celebration. And the Eagle's going to be the prime mover on it, and they got the city of Wichita involved, and then they got all kinds of corporate partners involved in it. They brought us to Wichita on October 8th for their official celebration, and they added four additional groups to our original program, which rounded it out more than we ever could, and it went up to 150 participants in it. And they did not want to film it for television at that time. We tried to film the Hutch for television special, and Smoky Hills was our partner on it. They pulled out 30 days before it came off. We went ahead and hired camera people. They did a terrible job.
Oh, that's too bad.
And so now, after the success in Wichita, they want to take it to Topeka. And the public station up there wants to do it, and we pretty well got all the negotiations done. And Sunflower Journeys wants to use it as their 25th anniversary highlight, and they want to make it into a program that all of the stations will use for their membership drives. And we have all the TV and radio public stations in the state that are willing to do this.
Well, I want to
we'd
get
like
you
to
my
push
office.
it on even further.
Yeah, I want to get you my card so you can email me some of this. Maybe I'd have a way to put it back up on our blog. And
save all this.
Yeah, Paul, you can shut down and save. So.
You have a loose wire in your headphones on the right side.
Well, that's good to know.
Oh, you couldn't hear?
Well, if I held it just right,
Those guys that are in here in the morning, here,
Uh-huh.
this might be under your foot a little bit. Those guys that are
Yeah,
in here in
they're-
the morning might wanna know that,
Yeah.
because they're in here for 3 hours every
Yeah,
morning.
so you're not getting.
Let me go get you, one of my cards. Let's
Okay.
mosey back to my
All
office,
right.
let him do his job here, and
Thank you.